My name is Ubong Kings.
I am Marvelous Apamaga.
I am Shioma Akbala.
This is not a real market show like this.
You're welcome back. I am Ubong Kings. It's still the Afia Business Morning, and you are watching Opening Bell right here on Afia TV. It's time to check in on commodity prices, and we will begin with precious metals. This morning, it's downward movement for gold today, incidentally, and almost all precious metals on the chart this morning, except, of course, silver, which is up at 0.09%. Gold is down 0.27%. Platinum and palladium are both down also at 1.88%. and 2.35% respectively. Let's take a look at energy this morning. Energy is a mixture of rises and dips in index values across the board. It may interest you to know actually it's more of a rises. By the way, natural gas is up at 2.43%. Oil Brent is up at 3.78%. Brass River and Kwaibo are both up with the same values of 0.38%. However, ethanol, coal and oil bonylite are down at 1.56%. 0.30% and 2.84% respectively. And it's about time we took a look rather at activities from industrial metals this morning. Industrial metals, well, these all rises in index values across the board. Aluminum is up at 0.56%, lead is up at 0.72%, iron ore up at 0.50%, copper up at 1.05%, nickel is up at 2.38%, zinc is up at 0.73%, and tin is also up at 2.16%. You're watching the Afia Business Morning. This indeed is Opening Bell. Do well to follow this program. You can join in live also and be part of the conversation on our dedicated Afia Business YouTube channel. Kindly tap on the search bar www.youtube.com/@Afia Business, and while you're there, do well to hit the like button. Remember, you can subscribe so you get notifications on all business related content coming to you from Afia TV. You can also follow us on Instagram because we're live on Instagram at Afia Business _ just so you can be part of our social media community. We'll take a break, but then it will be time for us to take a look at the hikes in prices of food commodities in the April market, as well as price hikes in fuel prices. And on that note, I pretty much will see you on Monday on the Opening Bell when the exchange is reopened for trading. And just so you know, the Afia Business Morning will be right back with global business. My name is Ubong Kings. Stay tuned. Thank you for rejoining me on the Afia Business Morning. Welcome to Global Business. And here we're going to be taking a look at business news stories around the continent of Africa and indeed the rest of the world. My name is Ubong Kings. Here are the headlines that are making the round. Starting out from the automotive world, where it's reported that Toyota is to delay US electric vehicle production to 2026. And still from the global economy, Coca-Cola to close logistics sites in Germany. And France molds tax increase for large companies. We'll bring you details of these news stories and more right after this break. Stay tuned. You are watching Global Business right here on the Afia Business Morning, and we will begin with stories, incidentally, about Africa. Well, it is reported that Brazilian state-run oil company Petrobras has recently announced that its board has approved the acquisition of a 10% stake in the offshore deep Western Orange Basin oil block in South Africa, where in an interview last month, Silvia dos Anjos, head of exploration and production at Petróleo Brasil SA, that's Petrobras, revealed that Brazil's state-controlled oil company is in talks to acquire stakes in African exploration blocks from major oil companies including ExxonMobil, Shell plc, Total Energies, and Equinor ASA. Meanwhile, the acquisition followed a competitive process led by French oil major Total, which operates the project and will maintain a 40% stake in the block. Let me try to break this story down real quickly. Now, do you believe me when I say, do you now believe me if I may put it that way, that South Africa's economy is very much more positioned or much well positioned than that of Nigeria to receive foreign direct investments? Now, just imagine that a country's state-controlled oil company is in talks to acquire stakes in an African exploration block from major companies, major oil companies, likes of ExxonMobil was mentioned, Shell was mentioned, Total Energies, and of course Equinor, but not in Nigeria. Oh well, I'm reminded of when the company Petrobras was seeking to sell huge stakes of their company some time ago, but all that has changed now, because with this intent of pretty much buying from somewhere else, it pretty means that they're back on track to make more profit from the oil and gas industry. African news takes us back to that period in review. Let's take a look.
The Brazilian state-owned company Petróleo Brasileiro SA is poised to accept the sale of its stake in its African subsidiary for about $1.3 billion. According to local newspaper Valor Econômico, Petrobras owns 50% of Petrobras Oil and Gas BV, or Petrobras Africa. Brazilian financial company BTG Pactual SA holds a 40% stake in the company, and Helios Investment Partners hold the remaining 10%. And according to an anonymous source, the three shareholders would sell their share for about $2.6 billion. Reuters reported on the 18th of June that a consortium led by Vito SA had begun exclusive negotiations to acquire stakes in Petrobras Africa and emerging as a winner for a number of bidders, including its competitor Glencore. Petrobras Africa participates in 2 deep-water oil exploration blocks in Nigeria. The heavily indebted company announced its intentions to sell this stake in November as part of a disinvestment program aimed at unlocking $21 billion in assets by the end of the year.
And moving on to stories, other business stories, if you may, and this time around from the automotive world, is reported that Toyota, the Japanese automaker, is said to delay its electric vehicle production in North America to early 2026, citing design adjustments and a slow rate of electric vehicle sales as the production of its first battery EV model, a 3-row SUV in Kentucky, will start later than planned, as the company aims to introduce up to 7 new EV models in the US over the next 2 years. Unfortunately, supply disruption and governance issues has prompted Toyota to delay the start of US EV production by 6 months to around June 2026, as they initially aimed to manufacture electric SUVs under its luxury Lexus brand in North America by 2030, but has scrapped that plan in favor of shipping completed vehicles to the US from Japan. Let's hold up real quickly and let's check something out. This story to me brings to the fore the reality of the nosedive in sales and penetration, if you may, of electric vehicles in the US. The truth is that the outrageous tariff imposed by the European Union on specifically Chinese-made electric vehicles, pundits argue that this has generally affected sales and widespread acceptability and, if you may, permeation of electric vehicles. Anyway, Reuters tells us more on this particular development. Let's take a look.
Toyota is putting back plans to make electric vehicles in the US. That's according to reports by Japan's Nikkei newspaper. It says output now won't start there until the first half of 2026, instead of late next year. The company spokesman later said that early 2026 was now likely. The Japanese auto giant plans to make electric SUVs at a plant in Kentucky. It has invested some $1.3 billion in the facility to prepare for production. It's all part of moves to introduce 5 to 7 battery electric models in the country over the next 2 years. Reuters sources have previously said that supply disruptions and corporate governance issues were likely to delay the start of production. EV sales have seen a slowdown worldwide, partly due to diverging policies on support for purchases of the zero-emission vehicles. The Nikkei says Toyota has also abandoned plans to make Lexus-branded EVs in North America by 2030. It says the firm will instead ship the premium cars from Japan.
You're still watching Global Business right here on the Afia Business Morning on Afia TV. Kindly join in on the conversation, and just so you know, you can watch in live right now on our dedicated Afia Business YouTube channel. Kindly tap in the search bar www.youtube.com/@Afia Business. While you're there, remember to hit the like button and subscribe so you get notifications on all business-related content coming to you from Afia TV. You can also follow us on Instagram at Afia Business _ to be a part of our social media community. Up next will be more business news stories from the rest of the world after this timeout. Stay tuned.
My name is Ubon Kings.
I am Marvelous Akwamaga.
I am Chioma Okpala.
This is not real market show like this.
Welcome back to the Afia Business Morning, and you're watching Global Business. Now to the rest of our stories, and we're moving on to other business news stories from the rest of the world. And from the world of beverages, drinks giant Coca-Cola is to cut some 500 jobs in Germany over the next year as it sets to shut down 5 production and logistics sites in Germany in an attempt to cut costs and adapt to changing logistics trends, where the Coca-Cola Euro-Pacific partners, which handles Coca-Cola's bottling, distribution and selling activities in Germany, reviewed plans to be mostly in the Cologne area. However, CCEP shared that this decision comes as the company tries to become more cost-effective in the face of increasing market competition, as well as adapt to changing logistics in the beverage sector. Now, this particular story reminds me of something very fundamental. I did share this earlier, as at yesterday actually, that this issue will continue. I'm talking about the issue of loss of jobs, retrenchment, etc., cutting down costs, etc., and all the plenty drama that comes with it. Because there is a global meltdown, let's face it. I know that quite a number of countries are trying to manage it so that the people don't really see it, but it's really happening. You know, I'm actually reminded of when it was reported that Coca-Cola actually had the time to future-proof their logistics center still in Germany some time ago with automated picker and automated layer picker solution. But as it stands, there's pretty much no solution for these imminent job losses. Global supply chain takes it away from here. Let's take a look.
%90 of the volume of these distribution centers was coming to Antwerp, which leads to an increased layer picking volume. On the other hand, we have the changes in our portfolio, and we have to look for a solution for layer picking our non-carbonated soft drinks. Thirdly, we had several constraints in our actual warehouse building and process flow, which we have to look for other way of working. And last but not least, we are stimulating our salespeople to deliver more and more per layer to our customers, while our layer picking cost is much lower than manual handling.
So this is an automated layer picking solution that we installed at the site. It takes full pallets from our ASRS and it transforms it according to our customers' demand. The capacity is 150 layers per hour and it can manage simultaneously 110 SKUs.
In addition to the previously mentioned capability to reduce a higher volume on a more reduced cost, it's very important to note that the new solution is also much safer for our operators. And thanks to this system, we have the opportunity to face the changing world of the customers around us, and we are able to cope with the changing portfolio of our new.
And there you have it. I mean, that was when Coca-Cola was boasting of this new logistics plant right there. But right now, most of them are going to lose their jobs, as it were. Moving away from that to other reports this morning, and in an attempt to end this bulletin, let's say that the French government is examining a range of plans to reduce the public deficit, including a temporary tax on companies making more than 1 billion euros per year, as it sets to tighten its purse strings and hike up taxes in a bid to get its public finances in order. Meanwhile, the government reported consideration of an exceptional tax on profits of large companies fits rather in line with comments that Prime Minister Michel Barnier had made in recent weeks. Now, frankly, if you ask me, it does seem like this is the one way to go. I mean, raising taxes seems like the one way most governments tend to increase or generate revenue. But then, are you aware that taxation is one of the only practical, if you may, practical means of raising revenue, the revenue to finance government spending on the goods and services that most of us demand? Are you aware? But here is what is interesting, right? Economic development, listen to this quickly. Economic development will often generate additional needs for tax revenue to finance a rise in public spending. Let me take that again, real quickly. It's a function, increasing tax is a function of economic development. In other words, there has to be a commensurate economic development when you're talking about tax increases, right? But is that the case in Nigeria or almost anywhere else? Other climes you would say is justified. They are making these amenities available. But in Nigeria, would you sincerely say there is a huge economic development? Then why does it seem like there's always an increase in tax year in, year out, maybe day after day? Anyway, France 24 English reports on this story of France's tax policy. Let's take a look.
An urgent goal with few details on how to achieve it. Michel Barnier's first official policy speech as Prime Minister saw him set out the new government's priorities, none more pressing than France's fiscal woes.
A sword of Damocles is now hanging over the head of the French people, and without action and courage now, it will hang much heavier over the heads of our children and grandchildren. The real sword of Damocles is our colossal financial debt.
Barnier's first order of business, bringing France's budget deficit to within 5% of GDP by the end of 2025. To achieve it, the government will need to come up with some 40 billion euros. Barnier says 1/3 of that will be via new revenues. His office has suggested that next year's corporate tax rate could rise from 25 to 33% on companies that brought in more than €1 billion during 2024. The Treasury is also reportedly planning to crack down on tax avoidance by France's wealthiest citizens, potentially through a 25% minimum tax on top earners. The Prime Minister insists any tax hikes will be temporary and are not a rejection of President Macron's supply-side economic policy.
We will do this without jeopardizing our competitiveness. In reality, there can be no sharing and no redistribution if there is no upstream activity and production on our territory.
That still leaves the other 2/3 to be found via budget cuts, and there Barnier has furnished few details. Ideas recently floated include cutting dead weight in France's apprenticeship programs, consolidating government agencies with too much overlap, and moving some government offices out of central Paris. Analysts say those measures will be far from sufficient.
Oh well, we'll follow up with this story as well as other stories as they unfold and keep you in the loop as to those developments. And talking about keeping you in the loop, you may want to get to our dedicated Afia Business YouTube channel and watching live as it were right now. And just kindly type in the search bar www.youtube.com/Afia Business. While you're there, hit the like button. Remember, you should subscribe so you get notifications on all business-related content coming to you from Afia TV. You can also follow us on Instagram at Afia Business _ just to be part of our social media community so you don't miss anything. You're watching the Afia Business Morning right here on Afia TV. Coming next will be a review of the conversations we had in the week. And may interested to know that this is going to be stemming from Monday through to Thursday. Yesterday, all the conversations we had, we're going to be taking a look at all of them in a bit. And on the segment, the Eastern Business Report. My name is Ubong Kings. Stay tuned. It's good to have you rejoin us, and you're watching the Afia Business Morning. This indeed is the Eastern Business Report, which is designed to bring you up to speed on business activities and policies affecting businesses and the economy of the southeastern region of Nigeria. It usually comes right after Global Business on the Afia Business Morning. And on today's edition of the Eastern Business Report, we'll be looking at the week in retrospect. Of course, looking at all the developing business stories and conversations that we had. And this pretty much will form the essence of the Eastern Business Report today. My name is Ubon Kings. Welcome. Good to have you rejoin us. So yes, like I did say, we're going to be looking at the week in retrospect, taking a whole lot, delving into developing business stories and conversations that we had starting from Monday up to Thursday. But there are a few of those conversations that I think we want to bring to the fore, and one would be the fact that I had the singular honor, privilege, if you may, of playing host to the Group Managing Director, Copen Group, and we looked at the forthcoming Amadio Business Summit, and he had some very interesting things to say. Let's take a look at the excerpts from that particular session.
So we have to have a kind of mental orientation to these issues that we are looking at. Is there a way that we can look at the truth of God's word? He said, give and it shall be given unto you. We are now worried about how much we can get in every diverse area. Everybody sitting down looking at how much we can get, how much the next man can give to us. We are shifting away from the fundamental spiritual truth that the quality of our blessing is dependent on our service. So the seed of our blessing is on our service. So we have tried to do it at Copen in our own little way over the years. By next year, Copen will be 30 years. We've tried to see every project, every activity from the point of view, what can we give to the next person? What value proposition that will be beneficial to the person can we give to them? And that has changed the canvas of our activity. People ask you, how have you been able to do this, do this, do this? And I tell them that whether it is a client, whether it is anything, I ask myself the core biblical question: do unto others as you like to unto you. So it's not just a talk shop, it's an attempt to do a number of things. One is to showcase some of the things that God has given us opportunity to do. Two, it's an opportunity for us to showcase what God has used other people to do equally. There are a lot of people who are doing the same thing selflessly and sacrificially for our society. Number three is also to onboard a lot of other people who will like to be used by God to do a number of things. So the concept of Amadio means for the love of God, or lover of God. That's what Amadio means. So when you hear of Amadio Foundation, Amadio Event Center, Amadio means for the love of God. So we are looking at this as the corporate social expression for Copen Group, to see how we can motivate others to come on board. Because we have a saying for us in Copen: we are the ones that we have been waiting for to make the difference we desire for ourselves and others. So let us arise and begin to do the work. So that is the concept or the vision behind this. And that is why, for instance, in the NGO we have, Amadio Foundation, every running cost for the Amadio Foundation is absorbed by Copen Services Limited. People donate for projects. Every last pin of the money donated is used for the activity. The running cost of the transportation, the logistics, the overhead costs of the people who are involved in it is paid by Copen Services Limited. And we have been privileged in this end town to see other people they see the same thing, and they have been waiting for somebody to give them the key and say, this is what we have been waiting for. So we have people like Roban Sarob Anwato, who is on board. We have people like Juhel, who is on board. We have people like Professor Edith Mosu. We have people like the Professor Joy Ezilo, who have been doing work for many years and helping women. We have a lot of people, but the problem is this: if we continue to focus on those who are not doing well, a lot of young men will think, upcoming people will think that this is the norm in the society. It's not the norm. It's not what led society to grow to become to where it is. So we have to have this conversation. It is an opportunity for us also to see what are the things we have done in the various areas we are intervening in people's life, so as to give like a scorecard and at the same time present a roadmap into the future of what we want to do with our partners in Australia, with our partners within Nigeria, with our partners in Canada and US. We have to intervene. We have to give back to society. And that is the whole essence of Afia Business Summit.
You know, one thing strikes me here in that conversation, the whole of that conversation I had with him, was his emphasis basically on giving back to society. The fact that he is of the opinion that most times a lot of Nigerians, young people specifically, are more about what they can get, and most businesses the same thing, what they can get, but the question really is, what value are they adding to life? What value are they adding to the people around them? What value? I think that's a good place to leave it. Moving away from that, let's look at Tuesday. Tuesday, I was opportune to play host to Okike Ezugo, who is a lawyer and a government policy analyst, and we took out the time to look at Nigeria's 64th independence. As a matter of fact, every other guest after this time frame, we all took the time to look at that from different dimensions, basically. And we looked at business and economic review under Tinubu. Let's take a look at some of those excerpts from that particular session.
You should have taken a critical assessment, evaluation of all these things, what the responsibilities of your office entail before assuming it. So when you come and you start talking to us again about people who did some bad things in the past, it is a clear evidence that you were not even prepared for leadership. Yeah, we are long past, just talking about potentials. Of course, the potentials of Nigeria, the merits, the natural merits of the Nigerian state is without doubt. We don't have natural disasters here as we have in other countries in the world. We have beautiful climate and we have rich oil deposit, almost the 7th largest oil producing country in the world. But what we've not been seeing is the manifestation of these potentials in the leadership of the country. So the problem we have is just leadership. It is not as if the potentials, the XSG was right when he talked about the fact that Nigeria is gifted. That is not in doubt. But there is no manifestation. Right from the time that Nigeria became an independent country from the British in 1960, they've always talked about the potentials of the so-called giants of Africa. We've been talking about it, and we were here when the United Arab Emirates took development serious in the 70s and became one of the most advanced countries in the world just within a space of 3 decades. And we are 64 today, and we are still talking about potentials. So it is disappointing when repeatedly Independence Day celebration after Independence Day celebration, political leaders gather in public places and talk about the promises and potential of the Nigerian state, and at the end of everything we have nothing to show for it. We talked about how removing subsidies have worked in some other places. But the problem with the Nigerian situation is that the peculiarity of the local circumstances, we are not taken into consideration before these policies were rolled out. So if the foundation is faulty, it is going to be difficult for it to be getting to a point and then everything starts shaping up to normal. So I don't see us getting out of it anytime soon, or even eventually.
Okay, so we'll probably be in this quagmire for a pretty long time.
Until something very chaotic and unfortunate happens. Because there is just an extent to which the masses can tolerate the kind of hardship that have been unleashed on them. Talk about potentials and make a lot of promises and just try to scratch what is happening on the surface without substantially addressing what is happening. Because what is happening in Nigeria is man-made. It is the function of policies, the function of government policies. And if the federal government is minded, they can roll back some of these policies and at least bring things up to normal. So if we continue in this trajectory, I don't see things shaping up to
All right, Okike was of the opinion that all these things are pretty much what Nigeria is going through is pretty much man-made, and it could be avoided and it could be reversed if the government at the center really wants to, because from his perspective, his opinion, that really nothing will change anytime soon, because everything seems to follow the same trajectory that it had been following right from the previous government, of the government at the center. But then again, it's his own opinion. You could go on and view those footages of those particular sessions on our dedicated Afia Business YouTube channel. Incidentally, they're all live there. And yes, you could go to www.youtube.com/@Afia Business. And while you're there, remember, you could do us the honors of hitting the like button. And remember, you should subscribe so you get notifications and all business-related content come to you from Afia TV. And you could also do well to follow us on our socials on Instagram at Afia Business _ just so that you'll be part of our social media community. We'll take a short break. When we come back, we're going to be taking a look at other activities, other conversations, and all of that that happened here on the Afia Business Morning, special reference to mostly the Eastern Business Report. After this time out, please stay.
My name is Ubon Kings.
I am Marvelous Afia Business.
I am Chioma Okpala.
This is not real market show like this.
It's good to have you, Rich Orders. You're still watching the Eastern Business Report right here on Afia TV. And of course, the program is the Afia Business Morning. And before the break, we have been taking a look at some of the conversations we've had in the past week. We're taking a look at quite a number of activities already, but we're moving on to Wednesday now. On Wednesday, I played host to Emmanuel Chime, who is a public affairs analyst. And he took the time also to share his thoughts about Nigeria's economic growth in 64 years. Let's quickly take a look at some excerpts and analyze what he said.
The realities that we're being faced with actually is posing a very nagging question on our independence, in quotes. So the other way around, I will be asking if perhaps the statement being made by the president is actually largely marred by insensitivity. Because the other way around, he was just telling us, let me say, rhetorics, stories. He didn't actually reflect on the realities of Nigerians, realities that Nigerians are being faced with, the hardship that Nigerians are being faced with. And meanwhile, how far he has been able to come with his reforms, with his policies as to fix the economy. And meanwhile, what he have done and what is yet doing continuously and what he's about to do again as to give us a better Nigeria. He did not talk about that. He did not actually reflect on all this. He only started telling us stories about how we got independence. That was 64 years down the line. And 6 years later, we entered into an avoidable civil war more before he then came to saying that they have been able to, by the reason of the policies being brandished, they've been able to attract over 30 billion US dollars investment in Nigeria. Then he did not tell us about GSK and more other companies, blue chip companies that left Nigeria. Meanwhile, these are rhetorics, just like I told you. I think these are paperwork that have been presented to him. Maybe he just reflected it on his speech to deliver to Nigerians. Nigerians are waiting to see the realities being played out. If Nigeria had become so better than it was before he took over, then we should have seen it on our day-to-day transactions. We should have seen it. I mean, he did not tell us why which he actually started increasing our taxes. So for goodness sake, when you come to the area of security, which is now the hub of everything, the bedrock of Nigeria's success, because without security, no international community, no international investor want to come to Nigeria to come and invest. So what is he doing in that area? What is it doing? I mean, today we have not witnessed kidnapping for ransom like we have witnessed in the last 1 year in the history of Nigeria. And it is thriving, and nobody cares about you. The president does not care about you. The army, the police, the DSS, none of these security agencies cares about you. Should they kidnap you? And the truth again is that it's no longer kidnap of maybe the big men in the society. It's now anybody. So anybody vulnerable, anybody accessible can be kidnapped. People are now being kidnapped for as low as 5,000 naira. People are being kidnapped to be exchanged with either a bag of rice or some pintas of gari. Just now to tell you the level of hunger in the land. So we expect to see something more tangible. He talked about organizing a 30 days conference for the youths. Then we'll begin to ask, are we lacking ideas in this country? Are we lacking templates? Because we have the conference of 2014 under the SY President Goodluck Jonathan, and we have not seen anything about that at all. So what is now the guarantee that this particular conference is not a diversionary measure?
Oh, well, you heard from the horse's mouth, and he did say something very emphatic. I'm just going to pick two things he said that, maybe three, that he said that resonates with the other two. The next day, which was Thursday, where I played host to gentlemen. And one of the things he said was that the president's speech was insensitive, not taking into consideration the fact that Nigerians are being faced with hardship. That was not really addressed, as a matter of fact. And also security concerns that has plagued the nation. And he was of the opinion that not much has been done, even though we keep hearing that Boko Haram commanders and bandits commanders, etc., have been apprehended, but there's still a spike in these activities of nefarious people, of unscrupulous elements. And he also he gave a very strong point that people are kidnapped and now being taken for ransom just for a square meal. Sad reality it is. And away from that, let's move on to Thursday. On Thursday, I hosted a Make-Out Dome seasoned journalist and a public affairs analyst, and also on the side also spoke with Aniche Ndudim Roland, who is an ex-banker, financial analyst and CEO, Rogon Capital Limited. And we took out the time to look at the October 1st independence speech of Mr. President and the various discrepancies that characterized the speech, which clearly negated current realities. One of them was the fact that Mr. President said that the monies we owe had been taken care of. I mean, let's take a look at some excerpts from that session real quickly.
The 30 trillion deficit, which was formerly in the books of Central Bank, it's a debt in the books of Central Bank. And so when the National Assembly approved the structuralization of it, it simply empowered the Debt Management Office to prepare a bond which was actually securitized and sold to the general public as a bond. So what simply happened was the debt was removed from the books of Central Bank into the books of the federal government as part of the debt profile of the country. That was what happened. So when they say a debt has been cleared, it simply means the principal and the interest has been paid off. But this is not what happened.
It was just
this is not what happened.
So the debt moved. Oh wow. Okay.
So I think it's unfortunate. The handler did not use the right word very well, and I want to believe the Minister of Finance is not aware of this speech. I strongly want to believe, because if he was fully aware of this speech, he would have made corrections to that.
This can be a mistake. You see, he himself said it, that before you put together a speech for Mr. President, you get input from different ministries and other government, heads of other government agencies and parastatals. And so that means the Ministry of Finance made an input into this. And so if the Ministry of Finance made an input into this, of course, who could have pretended over that other than the minister himself? And remember also that the minister is the coordinating, the Minister of Finance is the coordinating minister of the economy. And this speech, a good chunk of it borders on the economy. You know, within the last 1 year since Mr. President came to office. And so that cannot be a mistake. And besides that, the point is very clear that this is not about semantics now. It's about, say, we have cleared. It's different from we have, probably managed this debt. And you see, if there's a debt, you manage the debt. And when you use the word manage, that gives you a leverage. It's more encompassing. But when you say you have cleared, and I think this is very definite. Mr. President demarketed his party, APC, with that speech. If you look at that speech, Mr. President, at a point he was trying to convince us of the state of the nation, the state of the economy, the state of security, the state of the polity when he assumed office, right? They found themselves at a dizzying crossroad. What does it mean to be, I mean, as a literature student, when you say dizzy, that's a very serious, metaphor you use. When you say you're feeling dizzy, you don't see clearly, you're staggering, right? At a crossroad, you don't even know where to go to. That creates a state of despair, hopelessness. That was where APC left Nigeria in 2015. A party that a government had that he was a major stakeholder in.
Oh well, you're seeing the basics there. That's basically the overview of the conversations that we had here on the Afia Business Morning, and more specifically on the Eastern Business Report. But then you can join in on the conversation. Drop off a comment or two on our new and dedicated, so to speak, Afia Business YouTube channel. You may kindly tap in the search bar www.youtube.com/Afia Business. And while you're there, do well to hit the like button, and remember you could subscribe so you get notifications on all business related content coming to you from Afia TV. And just so you know, we're also available on socials, especially on Instagram with the handle at Afia Business_. You may want to go there so you can be part of our social media community. You're still watching the Afia Business Morning live from Enugu State, Nigeria. Coming up next is Onya Afia. My name is Ubong Kings. Stay tuned.
Welcome to Afia TV, your go-to channel for excellent news and incredible shows that keeps you IEI, that is, informed, entertained, and inspired. Need a break?
Ladies and germs, welcome to Lunch Break on Afia TV.
Join Choco to vibe and chill on lunch break at 2 p.m. for the latest trends in music and entertainment.
Not like I have big money.
Dive into the world of innovation and creativity with Rochelle on Anka.
It means art in English.
Where creative minds and groundbreaking ideas come to life. Tune in every weekday at 8 p.m. Do not miss Afia TV Official, your perfect dose of laughter, where they discuss what is currently trending on social media every day at 5:30 p.m. on Afia TV.
But in this economy, the savings will save you, man.
And that's not all. Stay tuned for more exciting shows on Afia TV. Catch us on DSTV channel 254 and GoTV channel 17.
Enugu, are you ready? Finally, it's coming back home. It's the Lord L. Alright Experience Season 3. Host MC Lord L, aka The GOAT. Day Thursday, 10th October 2024. Time 7 p.m. Venue Bomb Sunshine Hotel, Presidential Road, Enugu. Featuring top hype men, DJs, and a surprise performance from a top Nigerian artist. For more information, call Smalls on 0803 6724 282. You cannot afford to miss this experience.
This edition is proudly dedicated in memory of CEO Eastern Club TV, Mr. Shola.
Position, money loss, forget all about Obi Kubana, Joey Zata.
Hello, what's up, Afia? Welcome to the Onya Afia podcast, where we talk about trade and the lifestyle of a hustler. My name is Harchelu, and I have here in the studio with